Hare Krishna, everyone. So, thanks everyone again for joining day 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. As usual, our sincere thanks to Satchidananda Das Prabhuji, who has been giving us such a profound explanation and taking us the time to delve into such deeper meanings of all the verses. So, for the last six sessions, Prabhuji has been speaking about verse 1.1.1. So in the last session, Prabhuji shared with us six profound meanings of the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. The first explanation was related to Krishna and its creation, referred to in Janmadhyasya, where everything emanates from Sri Krishna. The Supreme Lord, Nandanandan Sri Krishna, is the source of everything. He has elaborated in his previous sessions where Sri Krishna expands simultaneously on the left side as Haladini Shakti or Srimati Radharani, and on the right side as Vaibhav Prakash or Balaram. The spiritual and material creations take place through Lord Balaram. So he is indeed the source of sources. He is indeed the source of all the expansions, avatars, etc. The second explanation was provided in relation to the Madhurya Rasa or the sweetness of Krishna Rasa. And Prabhuji explained as the true meaning of Satyam Param, where truth can be relative, but since Krishna is the absolute truth, when we dedicate our seva to Krishna, the unlimited personality, we derive the utmost happiness. And this is the main principle of Satyam Param Dhimai. Prabhuji also talked about Vipralamba Seva, or the service provided during the separation of Radha and Krishna, and how this is the highest service which is rendered during the time when Radha and Krishna are not together. The third explanation that Prabhuji shared was in relation to the conjugal Radha Krishna, as in Brahma Gayatri. So in the Brahma Gayatri, the Om Bhur Bhuvashyah Tatsavidur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. The Bhargo is the Radharani and Devasya is Sri Krishna. The fourth explanation was provided only in relation to Sri Radhika. She is the Adi rasa or the Madhurya Rasa. And if she is not present, then no rasa can be complete. The fifth explanation provided by Prabhuji was provided in relation to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is himself Radha and Krishna. So he is the Satyam Param Dhimahi. The first intimate Siksha disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Rupa Goswami. So Prabhuji explained how the Adi Kavai is Rupa Goswami, who understood the heart of Mahaprabhu. Finally, the sixth explanation and the most important of all was that the first verse is non-different from the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This explanation of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is found in the first verse in a very profound way. So Hare refers to the internal potencies of Krishnas, such as Radharani, all devotees of Baladev, Gopis, Gopas, etc. And Hare Krishna is the service in union, and Hare Hare is the service in separation. So this represents the direct and indirect service to Sri Krishna. So these were some of the profound explanations by Prabhuji in our previous sessions, and we really thank from the bottom of our heart to Prabhuji to delve into each of this in the first verse so deeply and explain us in such a detailed manner. And we'd like to request Satchidananda Das Prabhuji to commence today's session on 1.1.2. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadadvaitam Savadhutam परिजन सहितं श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च आराध्यो भगवान् व्रजेश तनयस् तद्धाम वृन्दावनम् रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधूवर्गेण तया कल्पिता श्रीमद्भागवतं पुराणयमलम् प्रेम पुमार्थो महान् श्रीचैतन्य महाप्रभोर्मतैदम् नायत्रयाग्रह परः आजानुलम्बितो भुजौ कनकायवधातो संकीर्तने पितरवो कमलायताक्षो विश्वम्भरो द्विजवरो युगधर्मपालो वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरो करुणावतारो वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरो करुणावतारो पतित पावन निताय गौर सुंदर की जय। श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय। गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। We are still into this wonderful Purushottam Mass. So I would like to start today by singing one of the important offerings that has been recommended by Shastras. Last time we offered the Chor Astakam by Bilva Mangal Thakur. Prior to that, we offered Nanda Nandan Ashtakam by Srila Rupa Goswami. And today, we shall offer the Jagannath Ashtakam. So, I will give you about 30 seconds to find it on your smartphones. You all can go to YouTube, or you can go to Google rather, and just punch in these keywords: Kadachit, Kadacit, Kalindi, Kalindi, Tata, Tata, space KK songs. K like Krishna, K like Kirtan, songs, KK songs. And you should find the Jagannath Ashtakam. Asimkar Prabhu has posted the link in the chat session. So you can just simply click on that link and you can find. Also, Pankit Prabhu has posted the lyrics. He's actually posted the entire lyrics on the chat session. So you can even open the chat. बोलो जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा देवी सुदर्शन जीव जी की जय। वियोगिनी श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल। कदाचित कालिंदी तट विपिन संगीत रावो मुदाबिरी नारी वदन कमला स्वाद मधुपा रमा शंभु ब्रह्मार्पति गणेश अर्चित पादो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। भुजे सव्ये वेणुं शिरसि शिखि पिच्च कथिताते दुकुलं नेत्रान्ते सहचर कटाक्षं विधाते सदा श्रीमद् वृन्दावन वसति लीला परिचयो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। महाम्बोधे स्थिरे कनकरुचिर्नील शिखारे वसन् प्रसन्दन्तः सहज बल भद्रेण बलीना सुभद्रा मध्यस्थ सकल सुर सेवा अवसरदो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। कृपा पारवार सजल जल श्रेणी रुचिरो रामावाणी राम स्फुरदयमाल पंखेरुमुख सुरेन्द्र आराध्य श्रुति गण शिखा गीत चरितो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। रथारूढो गच्छन् पति मिलित भूदेव पातालै स्तुति प्रदुर्भावं प्रतिपदम् उपकार्य सदायः दया सिन्धुर्बन्धु सकल जगता सिन्धुसुताया जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। परब्रह्म पीद कुवल्य दलोत्फुल्ल नयनो निवासी नीलाद्र निहित चरणो निश्चितमिदम् रसानन्दो राधा सरस वपुरालिङ्गनसुखो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। नावय्याचे राज्यं न च कणकमाणिक्य विभावम्। नायाचे अहं राम्यं सकल जनकाम्यं वरवधूम्। सदा काले काले प्रमत्तपतिन गीतचरितो। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। हरतं संसारं घृततरम् असारं सुरपते। हरन्तं पापानां विततिमपारं यादवपते। अहो दीननाथे निहितचरणो निश्चितमिदम्। जगन्नाथ स्वामी पथगामी भवतु मे। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। निताय गौरा हरि बोल। जयतां सुरतो पंगौ मम मंदमतेर्गति। वत्सर्वस्व पदाम्भोजौ राधा मदन मोहनो। जय राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन राधे राधे। जय राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन राधे राधे। दिव्य वृंदारण्य कल्पद्रुमा श्रीमत् रत्नांगद सिंहासनस्थो। श्री श्रीला राधा गोविंद देवो प्रेष्ठालीभि सेव्यमानौ स्मरामि। Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Radhe Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Radhe Shriman Rasa Sarambhi Vamshi Vatasthitaha Karshane Swanirvenur Gopi Shri Gopinathaya Shri Astuna Jayo Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe Radhe Jayo Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe Radhe Jayo Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radhe Radhe Jayo Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radhe Radhe Jayo Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Radhe Jayo Radha Shyama Sundar Radha Shyama Sundar Radhe Radhe Jayo Krishna Balaram Jayo Vrindavan Dham Jayo Krishna Balaram Jayo Vrindavan Dham Jayo Lalita Vishakha Jayo Radhe Shyam Jayo Lalita Vishakha Jayo Radhe Shyam Jaya Kishore Kishori Jaya Kishore Kishori Jaya Kishore Kishori Jaya Kishore Kishori Prabhupada 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 Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Hare Krishna Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today is Sunday, 4th of October 2020, and it is still the most auspicious month of Purushottam Mass. And any activities that are done in the Purushottam Mass, spiritual activities are multiplied thousandfold. It is indeed one of the most auspicious months that occurs every 32 months or after 2 years and 8 months in the leap year. So I'm very happy to see all of you, even though it is on the remote web platform, but by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, we are spending our time, our energy in a very, very positive spiritual direction. And may Nitai Gaur, Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas, all the Vaishnava Acharyas, be merciful upon us so that we can take maximum advantage of this Purushottam Mass. So I had mentioned earlier on the first day when about 3 weeks ago, about the Mahatmya of Purushottam Mass. And We spoke about it for about an hour. One of the most important things of this Purushottam Mass is just increase whatever we are doing, our reading, chanting, more and more. And it is like the most auspicious months of all the months, even more auspicious than Kartik. Kartik will be coming soon too. So it is considered one of the most auspicious months amongst the 12 months. But Purushottam Mass is considered the most auspicious amongst all the months. So we have to sing, it is suggested by Guru Sadhu and Shastras. Bhaktivedanta Thakur especially has suggested singing some stutis like Jai Radha Madhav, Chor Astakam. We sang Chor Astakam last time. Prior to that, we sang the Nanda Nandan Astakam by Rupa Goswami. And today we sang Jagannath Astakam. So I will quickly read the translation because it was in Sanskrit so that everybody will get the essence of the pure level of bhakti that is imbibed in this Astakam. So in this Astakam, it is glorifying the beauty of Lord Jagannath, glorifying Raj Mandal, glorifying the Vrajvasis, glorifying the transcendental emotions of the bhav of the greatness of the Vrajvasis. So here, Lord Jagannath, sometimes in great happiness, Lord Jagannath makes a loud concert with his flute in the groves on the banks of the Jamuna. He is like a bumblebee, Mudabhiri Nadi, Kavala Swad, Madhupa, tasting the beautiful lotus-like faces of the cowherd damsels of Vraja. So this is expressing the highest rasa. Last time we explained in the Bhagavatam, when we concluded the first verse, we did touch on those rasas, the 5 rasas, the rasa or the mellow or the relationship of neutral shantras, the relationship of dasyaras or servitorship, the relationship that one can have with the Supreme Lord or Krishna as a friend, Sakhya Ras, relationship one can have with the Supreme Lord as a fatherly or a parental figure, Vatsalya Ras, and the relationship that one can have of a lover and a beloved, like a husband and wife, in a very, very, which is considered the highest mood. And all the rasas are present in the Madhurya Ras. So here in the very first verse, it is expressed that he is like a bumblebee, meaning Krishna, or Lord Jagannath, tasting the beautiful lotus-like faces of the cowherd damsels of Raja, or the gopis, and great personalities such as Lakshmi Devi, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, the great demigods, the king of heaven, Indra, and the leading most devotees in the heavenly planets and amongst the demigods, Lord Ganesh, worship his lotus feet. May that Lord Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatumi. In his left hand, Lord Jagannath holds a flute. On his head, he wears a peacock feather. So this shows that the mood here is of Nanda Nandan Krishna, not of Dwarka, because Dwarkadish Krishna is a prince. He does not bear the flute, nor does he bear the peacock feather, nor do any of the Vaikuntha personalities like Narayana or Vishnu. So again, this is a very high bhav of Jagannath Ashtakam. Very few devotees have understood the inner meaning of this Ashtakam. Perhaps when we get an opportunity at another time, we will take this whole Jagannath Ashtakam as a seminar. Of course, it has been sung for almost 1100 years, but after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, the intricacies and the inner meanings of this Ashtakam have been revealed. And it was one of the favorite Ashtakams of Mahaprabhu. From the corner of his eyes, he bestows sidelong glances upon his loving devotees, Kataksha, and he always reveals himself through his pastimes in his divine abode of Vrindavan. So here the importance of Vrindavan is also highlighted. May that Jagannath Swami and Nayana Patagami Bhavatumi be the object of my vision. On the shore of the great ocean, Mahambudhes Tire, with a large palace atop the brilliant golden Nilachal hill, Lord Jagannath resides with his powerful brother Balbhadra, Baldev, and his sister Subhadra Devi, who sits between them. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatume. May that Lord Jagannath Swami bestow the opportunity for devotional service for all saintly souls, and he be the object of my vision. Lord Jagannath is an ocean of mercy. Kripa Sindhu Paravara. Sindhu means an ocean. Kripa means mercy. And he's as beautiful as a row of blackish rain cloud. That is the color of Lord Krishna, who is known as Shyam Sundar. This color is very unique. He's not even bluish. He's not even blackish. He is the color of a freshly formed rain cloud. Navanira the Nindita Kanti Dharam. Rasusagara Nagara Bhupavaram. Subhavankima Charu. Shikhanda Shikim. Bhaja Krishna Nidhim. Vrajaraj Sutam. This Vrajaraj Sutta Krishna, Nandan Krishna, Yashodanandan Krishna, Radharaman Krishna, Radha Shyam Sundar Krishna. His color is very unique. It is the color of the beautiful, the color of a freshly formed rain cloud, blackish, bluish rain cloud. He is therefore the storehouse of bliss for Lakshmi and Saraswati, because Lakshmis and Saraswatis also emanate from Radhaji. And because Radhaji is fully permeated with the love of Krishna, her expansions, Lakshmi and Saraswati, are also permeated with love for their consorts, Vishnu and Narayana. And his face, Lord Jagannath's face, Krishna's face, resembles a spotless, full moon, blown lotus, like a beautiful lotus that shines in the Sharad Ritu, in the autumn. The best of the demigods and sages, the Devi Devatas, and the saintly persons worship him. And the Upanishads sing his glories. Actually, the Upanishads, when they did a lot of tapasya, they got a chance to take birth as gopis in Vrindavan. So Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam. They're always singing the glories of Sri Krishna. The Upanishads, Gayanti Yam Samagata. They're always singing the glories of Krishna. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. Jagannatha Swami, Nayana Patagami Bhavatumi. Now, in this Ashtakam, they're describing how the Rath Yatra proceeds. When Lord Jagannath moves along the Badadanda, the grand road, in his Rath Yatra car, in the chariot, at every step, large assemblies of Brahmins, they loudly chant prayers and sing songs for his pleasure. Krishna also is known as Uttam Shlok. One of the names of Krishna is Uttam. Uttam means the best, and Shloka means the prayers. The best of the prayers are sung for Sri Krishna. So these Brahmins and the devotees chant prayers for the pleasure, eulogizing Lord Jagannath, and hearing their hymns, hearing their prayers, Lord Jagannath becomes very favorably disposed to them. Lord Jagannath sometimes stops. He does not move. The Rath, the devotees are pulling. Sometimes it stops for an hour, sometimes 2 hours, and everybody's pushing. But Lord Jagannath is simply wanting to hear the glories. They're wanting to hear what his devotees are saying. These are some of the inner secret meanings during the Rath Yatra. And when the Rath could not move, Father Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would sometimes say, okay, it's time to go to Vrindavan, it's time to go to Gundicha, let's move. And everybody would move, and Lord Jagannath, with his head, would push the Rath, and the Rath would start moving again. Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the bhava of Radharani. How could Lord Jagannath refuse the order of Radharani in that mood, that it's late, let's go to Gundicha Mandir, which is the representation of Vrindavan. So like this, the beauty of Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra is expressed in this particular verse, and how Lord Jagannath, when he hears these prayers, he becomes very favorable to those devotees. May Lord Jagannath, who is an ocean of mercy, and Daya Sindhu, he is the ocean of mercy and the true friend of all the worlds. We even sing this, one of the pranam mantras of Krishna, Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Deena Bandho Jagatpate. Deena Bandho Jagatpate. He is the Bandho, he is the friend and well-wisher of all. So that Lord Jagannath, he is the true friend of all the worlds. May that Lord Jagannath Swami, along with his consort Lakshmi, who was born from the ocean of the nectar. Lakshmi Devi was born from the ocean, the churning of the ocean. When the Deva Surasur Sangram took place and the churning of the ocean took place, and from the churning, the moon arose. And Lakshmi Devi also. So Lord Jagannath be the object of my vision. Lord Jagannath, whose eyes resemble full-blown lotus petals. Beautiful. One of the names of Krishna is Arvinda Aksha. Yea, Arvinda Aksha. In one of the slokas in the 10th canto, Lord Brahma addresses Krishna as Arvinda Aksha. Ye Anye Arvinda Aksha. Arvinda Aksha means one who possesses lotus-like eyes. Similarly, here the beauty has been described of Lord Jagannath, whose eyes resemble full moon blown lotus petals, is the ornament of Lord Brahma's head. Everybody wants that Lord Krishna bestow his his glances, and Lord Brahma and all others, they are waiting for that glance of Lord Krishna, Lord Jagannath, to bestow mercy. He resides on the Nilachal hill, right? So originally Lord Jagannath, he manifested with the predicament or the Akashvani of Nilamadha to King Indrajumna, which is in the Puranas, this whole history which we narrated during the full month of the Rath Yatra. We had 6 sessions of the Jagannath Rath Yatra. So in there we have mentioned the first 2 sessions, 1.5 sessions, we mentioned about Nilachal Prabhu, who is none other than Nil Sundar, who is none other than Lord Jagannath. So, like this, overwhelmed by the mellows of love, he joyfully embraces Srimati Radharani's body. So this is the pinnacle of the union of Radha and Krishna, how the union happens in the kunjas of Vrindavan, which is like a cool pond. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. And further, the prayer says, I do not pray for a kingdom, nor do I pray for gold, rubies, or wealth. Navayache Rajyam, like this. I do not ask Kanika Vibhavam. I do not ask for any gold or rubies or wealth. I do not ask for a beautiful wife as desired by all men. I simply pray that Lord Jagannath, whose glories Lord Shiva always sings, may be the constant object of my vision. And this is exactly the same bhav that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu praised in his Sistastakam, where he says in the 4th verse, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavita va jagdish kame, mama janmani janmani ishvare, bhavatat bhaktir ahituki tvai. No, nothing material, nor even pratishtha, nor even followers, na dhanam, nor wealth, na janam, nor followers, na sundarim, nor a beautiful wife, or the attraction to the opposite sex, kavita, nor any praises, va jagdish kamaye, nor I do not desire for any material desires. Then what is, I have only one desire, janmani janmani ishwari, birth after birth after birth, bhavatat bhaktir ahituki tvai. Your uncontaminated, non-materially motivated, pure devotion. That's all I ask for. And then finally in the 8th verse, O Lord of the demigods, Surapate, he's addressed as Surapate, because Suras, we explained that in the first verse, when we were describing the part that Muhyanti Yat Suraya, in the Srimad-Bhagavatam first verse, we described the word Sura. Sura means one, those personalities who follow the injunctions of the Vedas, those who respect the Shastras, those who believe in Sri Krishna as the Supreme Lord. So Krishna is also known as Surapate, the master of all the demigods. So here it is established that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is there in all the Shastras, in the Vedas, in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, even in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Matta Paratarya na anya kinchid aschid dhananjaya. There is nobody equal to me, and there is oh Arjun. So we have to understand. Unfortunately, in India, most people have the impression all gods are one, whether it is Ganesh Ji or Durga Devi, or whether it is Lord Shiva or Parvati Devi or any other. No, it is a big offense. So here it has been clearly, it has been it has been spelled out that he is, oh Lord of the demigods, he is Surapate. Please quickly remove the useless material existence. That's what we need to pray, like Prahlad Maharaj is praying. He's praying, he says in a very detailed, in the prayers that are offered in the seventh canto, chapter number 9 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, when Lord Nrsimhadev asks, what can I give you? I'm so pleased. I want to give you a boon. I want to give you a benediction. And Prahlad Maharaj is saying, my dear Lord, if you want to give me a boon or a benediction, please give me a benediction that no material desires arise in my heart. Look at the beauty. This is how devotees pray. When we study these astakams, when we study such prayers, we learn how to pray. Otherwise, we are simply standing in front of the Lord and saying a few things, which is okay. But when are we going to finally graduate, postgraduate? When are we going to enter the doctorate? We should learn from the doctorates and the masters of such wonderful devotees who have understood pure devotion. So here he's saying that, oh, I please, oh Lord of the demigods, Surapate, please quickly remove this useless material existence I'm undergoing. Oh Lord of the Yadus, Yadavapate, because all the demigods and the Devi Devatas, they were born as Yadus, as per the instruction just when before Lord Krishna appeared. So the Yadu dynasty, which appears from the moon dynasty, like Lord Ramachandra, he appeared from the Surya Vamshi, and Krishna is Chandra Vamshi. So they are known as Yadus. Please destroy this vast, shoreless ocean of sins. I've accumulated so many sins over a period of innumerable births. This is certain that Lord Jagannath bestows his lotus feet upon those who feel themselves fallen and have no shelter in this world but him. So we have to feel very, very humble. And when we are humble, then we become very much attracted to the kripa of Lord Krishna, Lord Jagannath. May let Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. Jagannath Swami, Nayana Pathagami, Bhavatume. So that was the meaning of this wonderful Jagannath Ashtakam, which is packed with so much pure bhakti. So perhaps at another time we shall take up every word by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, and that itself can be a topic of a discussion on some other day. But again, lots of spiritual tidings to all of you in this Purushottam Mass. And again, we request that all of you share this information. Few days are still left. We have one more Sunday. Invite your friends, invite your family members, invite whoever you care for, or invite just anybody, because that's why Prabhupada's mercy, the mercy of these acharyas, doesn't look dinahina jatachilo hariname uddharilo tara sakshi jagai madhai. And Narottam Das Thakur says that even the most fallen, dinahilo jathachilo hariname uddharilo, by the glories of Harinam, by the glories of Hari Kirtan, by singing the glories of by chanting the holy names, even the most fallen personalities like Jagai and Madhai were delivered. So we should give the opportunity to everyone. We should be emissaries. We should represent Srila Prabhupada. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Bharat Bhumite Manushya Janmo Hoilo Ja Jivan Shartak Kori Koro Paro Upkar Amar Agya Tara Ides Jare Dakho Tare Kaho Krishna Updes. So we have all that. We have this ability, especially during these times of the advanced technology. We have emails, and especially this WhatsApp and Facebook. These are amazing platforms for spiritual progress in one sense, or for staying connected, especially from the comforts of our home during this global pandemic. and we should, encourage each other. We all need that. So, like that, I fervently, pray on behalf of our Guru Parampara that please engage yourself, Jivan Sarthak Kori, Karo Paro Upkar, and engage others in Krishna consciousness. Then, and especially to do that in Purushottam Mas, you and I, honestly, we have no idea how much spiritual bank balance we will obtain. It will be impossible to measure than so much piety that you and I may have gathered throughout our many lifetimes. So this is a very serious thing. It's a matter of belief. What Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra says, we should take it to our heart. And whatever little facility we have, we should try to use that in the service of Krishna. Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagya. Whatever we have, we can engage in Krishna's service, including technology. That is called Yukta Vairagya. That is what Rupa Goswami explains what Yukta Vairagya means. Markat Vairagya, he explains, is that of that Vairagya, or that kind of renunciation, like that of a monkey. That, to make a show that, oh, I'm not attracted to women, I'm not attracted to money, I'm not attracted to name and fame. But internally, all these persons who are taking money and doing Bhagavad Katha or Ramayana and chant and ask and charging money for Hari Kirtan, that is all Markat Vairagya. In the name of saintlyhood, it is like a monkey who is simply imitating. But we should have Yukta Vairagya. Whatever we have to our facility, everything can be used. Everything belongs to Sri Krishna. Isha Vasham Idam Sarvam. Yat Kinchana Jagatyam Jagat. Everything belongs to Sri Krishna. So whether it is this computer or whether it is this uh, technology platforms of what WhatsApp or Facebook or Zoom, we can use it for Krishna service. So this is my humble and fervent request that you all can we all can engage each other. And then very soon Kartik month is coming too. So that is also a very powerful month. So anyways, um, we will be now continuing and proceeding to a very wonderful verse. Actually, this is verse number 1. Verse number 1 that we did chronologically is known as the Manglacharan of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Manglacharan means the most auspicious mantras that invoke auspiciousness. That is called Mangla. Mangal. Mangal means auspicious. So when we offer, before we start any good work, before we start even a spiritual program or spiritual reading, like for example, when we are chanting the Mahamantra, what is our Manglacharan? Most of you all who are involved in ISKCON, our Manglacharan is when we chant Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Sri Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. That is Manglacharan. And then we start chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Manglacharan is required because our minds are distracted, because we have a million other things going on in our minds. We are so conditioned. We are always thinking about all the other things except Krishna, even when we are sitting and trying to chant. So these Manglacharan mantras bring auspiciousness. We take the shelter of Srila Prabhupada. We take the shelter of the Acharyas. We take the shelters of the Vaishnavas. We take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu. We take shelter of Sri Advaita Acharya. We take shelter of Gadadhar Pandit. Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu. Nityananda Prabhu is Dauji, is Balram. Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. And Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani. And Srivasa Acharya is Narad Muni. That is called Panchatattva. This Panchatattva is very powerful. So that is Manglacharan. So the Manglacharan of Srimad Bhagavatam is the first verse, which is labeled 1.1.1, Canto 1, Chapter 1, but actually it is Manglacharan. It is also the explanation of the Gayatri Mantra, and it is also the wonderful 6 darshans. And Asimkar Prabhu did a wonderful job by summarizing what we have so far been discussing. 3 introductions we did for 3 weeks on the Srimad Bhagavatam, and for 6 weeks we discussed the Mangalacharan verse, the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, or the Mangalacharan verse. So we even saw in the first verse on the Mangalacharan the 6 darshans of what this Srimad Bhagavatam is, what this first verse is all about. So we have to, and now we are entering actually the very first of verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is chronologically is the second verse. So this verse, Dharma projita kaitavayatra parmo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapotraya unmulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim va parai Ishwaraha Sadyo or Sadyo Rudi Avarudyate Atra Krutubhi Sushrubhis Tatshana. Beautiful composition. Like I said, once I told you that all these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam have been composed by Mahavishnu himself, like Lord Vyasadeva, and they can be sung in different ragas, like Dharma Projita Kaitavayatra Parmo Nirmat Saranam Satam Vedyam Vatsavam Atra Vastu Shivadam Tapotrayunmulanam Srimad Bhagavata Mahamuni Krute Kim va parai Ishwaraha Sadya Rudi Avarudyate Yatra Krutubhi Shushrubhis Tatshana. All the different verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita can be sung in different ragas, and they're amazing in itself, these compositions. So, what is this verse all about? Very, very important verse. I'm telling you that if one understands the summum bonum of this verse, then one will really appreciate Srimad Bhagavatam. Until and unless, because here in the beginning, it is the Srimad Bhagavatam is being glorified. Srimad Bhagavatam is being glorified even before the events in Srimad Bhagavatam are being narrated. So that should tell us something, that how important Srimad Bhagavatam is. Here, Vyasadeva says, Dharmaha. Now, we have to understand what Dharma means. There are so many different, I will try to explain each and every word to the best of my ability, and may Srila Prabhupada and our Acharyas give me that ability to speak in the Rupanuga line of thought. That way, it will be pleasing to all the Acharyas, and especially to the Jugal Jodi, to Srimati Radharani. So here, Dharma. Dharma means, we have explained that before in different satsangs, and Prabhupada has also, in English, he has translated the word Dharma as in a very amazing way. If I remember correctly, Prabhupada ji has translated the word Dharma as the constitutional position of an entity. I will repeat that. Constitutional position of an entity, or an eternal position of an entity, or the eternal lakshana, or the qualities of an entity. Now, through different examples, we can understand what this means when we say the constitutional position of an entity. Hare Krishna. Rasoam apsuo konteya. Excuse me. Krishna says, I am the taste in water in the Bhagavad Gita. Haribol. So, Dharma. We have explained many times before that, let's say an entity like fire. What is the Dharma of fire? The Dharma of fire is heat and light, something that you cannot separate from it. If there is only heat, then you cannot call it fire. If there is only light, you cannot call it fire. But if there is heat and light, both these conditions have to be met. And if these are eternally present in a particular substance, which is known as fire, that is its dharma. That is its constitutional position. Eternally. It is not that millions of years ago fire had a different position or different constituents. No, millions and billions of years ago it had heat and light. Presently it has got heat and light, and in the future also it will have heat and light. So that is the guna or the eternal guna or dharma of fire. Another example to clarify this a little bit more. Another example would be, let's say, sugar. The eternal position or the dharma of sugar or the constitutional position of sugar is what? Again, there is two things: sweetness, and it has got this whitish powderish texture. When both are there, then we can say that this thing is sugar. Sweetness and the whiteness that is there in the sugar, or sometimes it is beigeish in color if it is pure sugar made out of good, right? If it is not synthesized in factories, not refined. So this is the constitutional position of good, of sugar. So similarly, what is the dharma of the soul? So I'm sure some of you may have remembered, some of you have joined most recently. So I will briefly tell what is the dharma of the soul. Now, first of all, we all know I'm going to be speaking some fundamentals or basics, and some of whom you are already heard that. It's all right to hear it again. It is best to sometimes reiterate things so that the lesson becomes nice and pakka. So, first of all, we have to understand that even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna started by speaking the Bhagavad Gita that you are not this body, O Arjun, you are a spirit soul. And everything that you do, you should do it on a spiritual platform, not on a bodily platform. Then it is pure bhakti. And then it is eternal truth. And then that will take us to the eternal domain or the eternal place or the eternal Satyam Param Dhimahi, Sri Krishna. So that is the fundamental, that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. Now, when we are talking about a spirit soul, that means it is an entity, and especially a spirit soul is full of consciousness. Mamayamsha Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that every living entity is my minuscule ansha, part and parcel. We are in a very atomic way. Everything that Sri Krishna has a qualitative wise, we also have it. But quantitative, in terms of quantity, we are very, very atomic. We are anu, very, very, very atomic. But because Krishna is eternally eternally chitta, he is Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. We also, because we are his ansha, we are his parts and parcels, we are also Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. So chit means we are full of consciousness, we are cognizant, we are full of knowledge. But when the soul is covered, just like when somebody who is a normal person and goes to a party and gets very drunk, then that person becomes abnormal. He talks abnormally, he walks abnormally, he thinks abnormally, he speaks nonsense or abnormally. He speaks like that, and he thinks something which he is not. Just like somebody who is a drunkard, he thinks, oh, what are you talking? I can drive this car, I can fly a plane, bring me a plane. What are you talking about car? Arey Baba, you don't know. I am capable and I am the president of this country. So then people laugh. Those who are sober, they understand that this person has lost it. He's under the influence. So similarly, the pure jiva is actually encapsulated by the covering of Maya. It is under the influence of Maya. Another example is like supposing my glasses right now are clear glass, but if I wear dark red shades, this is that everything that I see will be reddish. Or if I wear green shades, everything that I see will be greenish. So because this jiva, somehow or the other, came under the influence of Maya with the three gunas, it identifies itself with matter. Very fundamental thing that we have to understand. And it has actually, it has under the influence and forgotten his original constitutional position that Jiver Swarup Hoy, Krishna Nityadas, that the Jiva is only meant to serve Sri Krishna eternally. So that serving Sri Krishna, the Dasya, is the constitutional position of the dharma of the soul, of the living entity. And along with dasya or servitorship, the ananda part or happiness, or rather I would say bliss. Sukha in Hindi or Sanskrit, they say our acharyas and our saintly personality, it is a product of material things. So supposing if we obtain a nice car or a nice new home, or we obtain some good money, then that brings sukha. Those people who are very infatuated, even in the Hindu dharma, they sing this most popular arti, Om Jai Jagadisha Hare, Sukha Ghar Aave, Dhan Aave. Uh, all these things that they're asking is material things. It is not a bona fide arti. We have explained that before. It has been written by some Mayavadi, either by some Shivananda Swami or Brahmananda Swami. And all his artis are being sung in these temples. This is unfortunate because people are ignorant. All they're asking mainly, besides some bhakti, they're asking for material sukha or happiness. But for as far as the soul is concerned, the pure, unadulterated soul situated in its original form or in its original swarup has only two things that are eternally there, whether in its purest form is service to Sri Krishna, seva, and second is bliss, which is a product of seva. So service and bliss are the eternal constitutional position of a jiva. Very important. Please try to understand this. And if we drive these fundamentals in our hearts, then we will never be mistaken. Even if we cannot remember the shlokas, even if we cannot remember, if we remember the truths, then the Lord within our hearts will inspire us to progress towards the purity and to progress towards pure bhakti. So regardless of the situation, every jiva, whether it is a human form or in the form of a Devi Devta, whether he is Lord Indra or whether the gurus of the Lord's or the Devi Devtas Brihaspati, or it could be the little ant or Lord Brahma in Brahmaloka, all of us are jivas that have our dharma, our eternal dharma is service to Krishna, seva, and bliss, which comes automatically uh, through service. Now, in our adulterated state, in our contaminated state, when we are contaminated by the influence of Maya, still that constitutional position will always remain. So this is a fundamental truth. It will never change. So supposing, even let us say if it is a very small ant, very, very small ant, if you're sitting in the garden and if you are simply sometimes observing and your eyes fall on the ground, you will see an ant. And the ant goes into an ant hole and it comes out and then again goes back in. And every time it comes out, it is empty mouthed. And when it goes in, it carries some small grain of sugar or some kind of a grain of some food that it has found. And it is doing that 1,000 times. And sometimes, if you've seen an army of ants, they help each other to carry their food. Sometimes they find some nice piece of rasgulla that you have dropped in your kitchen, and suddenly, if you come back after 2 hours, oh my God, so many ants! What to do? When that trail is going all the way out into the backyard, into the garden, and each one of them is carrying the small piece of that rasgulla with it in their little antennas, in their little hands, and they're carrying it and they're passing it on into their little cave or the little ant hole that they've built, and there they have the little babies that have just been born or they're growing up, and they're feeding them. That's what they're doing. Like a sparrow or a bird, when the bird is building a nest, and when after the eggs hatch, the little hatchlings, when they come out, the fledglings, when they come out, they are simply looking at the mother with the beaks open, and they're simply making noise. And the mother goes out, and then she keeps searching and searching till she finds some worms or some grains, and she does that probably 100, 200 times a day. Sometimes in one nest there is 5, 6 eggs that have given to 5, 6 birds to 5, 6 fledglings, and she puts the little grain in everybody's mouth and feeds them. So that is seva. That service is being done to the little fledglings, and that service can be extended to the family. It can be like a human being also. Similarly, an ideal human being who is very pious in nature will take care not only of the family born out of the blood. Like we see that sometimes we find that the father, who is the center pillar of the family, will very nicely feed his own children. But also, there's extended families. We have seen in India, especially in our generation, sometimes there was a joint family, and in a joint family there were uncles and aunts, and maybe like 4 or 5 uncles and 4 or 5 aunts, and with their own children, meaning cousins, they all lived under one roof, and there was one head of the family, perhaps the eldest brother. Or if the grandfather was living, it is the grandfather who is the elderly of the family. So like this, in union they would serve, and then when they would have enough money due to their piety, they would earn so much piety that Krishna, they would do dharma, and that dharma would give them more dhan. Would give them wealth, and then they would extend it to their other families, to the other relatives, and then it would again, that circle would extend beyond relatives into the community. Oh, so I am from the following community, so I should help my community. So that is the bhav, and then it can further extend to the native people of that particular state beyond the community, but then the circle extends, and then it can extend to the nation on a patriotic level. But all these isms, patriotism, socialism, Prabhupada said, they're all material. They are completely on a material platform, and they are motivated by material things. So we have to understand, because this is what, and once we understand this first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, or chronologically speaking, the second verse, we will understand, we will really appreciate Srimad Bhagavatam like an amazing, amazing, amazing personality who is Krishna himself transformed. So that is the dharma. Human beings, no matter what you are, you might be a very, very, like say, the president or a prime minister of a country. Or what is the word? If the person is ideal, even then he will say, I want to serve the country. Please, I need your vote. That is the service. So through service, that person may be very, very pious. We don't find those these days. Rarely we do. But even if you find an ideal leader of a country who doesn't care about money, who doesn't care about family, who doesn't care about his personal needs, all he wants to do is serve the country day and night. And we do see in history that there are certain persons who are so out of that service. That service is the motivation, and it gives some happiness to that person. And that is why, no matter what, whether one is a prime minister, or one can be a beggar, or one can be an ant, or one can be a sparrow, when they are selflessly serving whoever they are, whether their siblings or their fledglings or their country, there is a certain pleasure or a happiness that is derived, because that cannot be separated, even though the soul is covered with Maya. Covered with Maya or not covered with, but when the soul is covered with Maya, the service and the happiness is restricted, and it is temporary. No matter how great a prime minister or a president of a country may be, he has served very well. He has not taken a single penny. He is personally, who has, as a matter of fact, pays for everything. I've heard of such prime minister and president that even they pay for their own cup of tea when they go to the parliament. They spend their own pocket-owned money, and they even do not avail of other facilities that many other leaders have had, so that the money is belonging to the state, to the country, and they do not waste the country's money. But some point, what will happen? It is still temporary. The temporary nature, even though he might be the most perfect person, one day death will come to that person, and that service will be cut. That service will be severed. And the nations and everything is also temporary. So similarly, even in a family situation, you might have the ideal father, the ideal mother, the ideal brother, the ideal sister, or the ideal person in the family who may be doing the ideal respective dharma or job very nicely. But ultimately, what's going to happen? That service will be interrupted one day, either because the receiver of the service is gone, or the renderer of the service is gone, or both of them have gone, because that is the nature of this material world. So, this Srimad Bhagavatam, when they're talking about dharma projita kaitava, atra means in this, atra means herein, and dharma projita means rejecting the kaitava, or the false, or the false meaning anything that has a motive, any motive that is beyond the interest of service to Sri Krishna, beyond the interest of pure bhakti, that has been labeled as cheating. The word kaitav in Sanskrit means cheating. So, and projita means it has to be rejected with great hate in one sense, or with great. It's like, when we sometimes people in India nowadays are following the West. So I'm sure you all have your dustbins that are outside the house, and we have our dustbins in the garage. And the garbage truck comes once a week here. So what we do is we gather the entire week's garbage in a closed bin in the garage. We have a big 30-liter bin. We keep it there, and then we keep it tightly closed. And whatever everyday garbage, small, and we have a smaller garbage bin in the kitchen. So what we do is, when the kitchen garbage bin is almost ready to be filled up, we make a knot and we tie it, and we throw it in the garage into the bigger garbage bin. And then once a week, on the night before the garbage truck comes, we keep that huge bag outside onto the front lawn, and then in the morning the garbage truck will pick it up. But sometimes it so happens, and this is practically so true, my wife tells me sometimes that it is very heavy for me. Can you help me take it out today? I said, certainly I will do that. So when I sometimes from that huge garbage can pick up that huge black bag, I see sometimes there is a very dirty stench coming that I cannot even bear, because the whole week's compost that has been in the kitchen has also gone in that. And even though it has been tightly knotted, sometimes, these garbage bags are not airtight, and they leak. And when they leak, all this compost is further, degrading, and it creates a very, very dirty smell. So I have to pick it up with one hand, close my nose, and then we throw it far into the yard so that it will be picked up in the morning. So that is projita, if I can express it. That's something that we have discussed, that we do not want to be a part of, or we hate to do it. Projita. Like sometimes, something happens, like even sometimes some vomit is there, it happens. And then, to clean that up, even to clean up your own vomit, that happens. Sometimes we have got some indigestion, or we fall sick, and we just simply can't even make it to the bathroom, and we vomit. And then it is so disgusting to our own self, that our own vomit, that we further are induced into more vomiting. So that is that kind of rejection, that dharma projita kaitava. Srimad Bhagavatam has rejected all kinds of dharma that are not pure in nature, that any kind of religiosity. So again, we explained last time, and Dasimkar Prabhu also mentioned today in the opening statement, that there is Satyam Param Dhimahi, Satyam Param, absolute truth, and then there is relative truths. There are different truths, and I last time also have given examples. And just to make it quick, if I make a statement, or if somebody makes a statement that my neighbor is a very rich person, so it's a relative statement, rich. What does it mean by rich to that person who is speaking the word rich? That his neighbor has got a house that is worth $1 million. But if he's talking to somebody who is a multi-million national executive or company executive who is living in a $20 million mansion, so for that person, $1 million house is not considered very rich. It is a gradation of richness. So similarly, there are so many kinds of dharmas that are there in this world, that have been either created and also have been that have been proclaimed, and also have been preached by the Vedas. Please try to understand this. This is very, very amazing, because the Vedas also talk about different types of dharmas, that about piety. The Vedas also describe the three modes of material nature: the modes of ignorance, the mode of passion, and the mode of goodness. Mode of goodness is punya karma, and this punya karma is described in different Manu Samhitas and so many other different shastras. It also describes so many different shastras that are there in the Vedas that describe the pastimes of the different demigods. Like what, how did Lakshmi Devi appear, or how did Lord Ganesh appear, and how did this happen and that happen. So different, there are different pastimes and of the Devi Devatas as well. All these are there, or about Rahu and Ketu, and how Rahu's head was cut off by Lord Vishnu, etc. So all those different those pastimes are there, those narrations are there in different parts of the Vedas and Puranas. And the Vedas and Puranas, they speak about piety, they speak about impiety, and they also speak about about bhakti. These three things have been spoken. The Vedas also speak elaborately about dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. Now, the dharma that we are talking about in the Vedas is what we call as the Chatur Purusharthas, which which is the when one uh, commits to dharma, meaning dharma means pious activities. Somebody says, no, he's a very dharmic person. So that is their definition of dharma, that, oh, he gives in charity, he's always very speaking, very truthful, he's so nice, always to Brahmins, and he's very respectful to everyone, very dharmic personality. So that is one way of looking at dharma. But that is leading to piety, and that only leads, and we have explained that again and again, that whether one is performing impious activities or pap, or one performs punya, one still remains in this material world. He remains in this 25% of the material creation of the entire creation. 75% of the creation of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is spiritual, and it is full of spiritual entities. It is full of living personalities. It is full of these avatars, like different Narayanas, Narsingha, Vamana, Madhusudana. Different types of avatars of the Lord are permeated in the Vaikuntha Loka, and there are millions and millions of Vaikuntha Lokas. And then, of course, there is Ayodhya, and then there is Kailash, and then there is Mathura, and then there is Dwarka, and then there is Golok Vrindavan. So, but these are all spiritual worlds. But 25% out of the 100% is material, and in this material world we have millions and millions of Brahmans, and they are like a jail. They do not let the living entity out. It's just like somebody who is a very, very powerful politician or a white collar criminal gets an air conditioned jail, gets a jail with books, gets better food, gets the facility of telephones, gets the facility of visitations from family and from friends. Where somebody who is very, very criminal in nature, somebody who's a murderer or a rapist, goes to the deepest dungeons, like the most what we call is the most difficult prisons, which are sometimes even bereft of any light, and sometimes they're put into isolation, depending on the level of criminality and depending on their sentence. So similarly, those who perform impious activities go to the hellish planets. Depending on the impiety, there are different hellish planets. And those who perform pious activities or dharma, in this case, I am referring to pious activities as dharma at the moment, so that we can understand the delineation as we progress into this verse. So those who are pious, they get position once they leave their body into the higher planetary systems, into the 6 different types of Swargiya planets, or the 6 different heavenly planets, the highest being Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. But it is still the 14 planetary systems, the middle one being the earthly planet, the 7 hellish planetary systems, and the 6 heavenly planetary systems are in one Brahman. And like that, there are millions of Brahmans, and they're still a sort of a jail. It is like a Karagraha. And Durga Devi, or Ma Durga, is considered the superintendent of the Durga. Durga in Sanskrit or Hindi or Gujarati, or probably in most other Indian languages, means a fort. And she does not let them escape so easily because of the material concept that we have associated ourselves with, including our desires, including our activities. So pious punya karma or papa karma will simply keep us in this material world. But Srimad Bhagavatam is talking about that dharma that will reject all, that goes beyond even piety, that goes even beyond the heavenly planetary systems. Bhutara bhakti padartha motu brahma lokma nahire punya kari amrapuri pamya ante chorasi mahire. Narsi Mehta, one great Vaishnava, a contemporary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As a matter of fact, some of you all Gujaratis have understood that's a wonderful bhajan that has been composed in pure bhakti. And actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for those of you who don't know, gave darshan to Narsi Mehta on the banks of the Tapti river in Gujarat. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy on Narsi Mehta. And anyway, so in this particular first two lines of this bhajan, he's saying, Bhutara Bhakti Padarathamotu. In this material world, and especially in the material world, in this Brahman, in Bhutal, in this earthly planet, one can obtain the highest bhakti or the pure dharma. Bhutara Bhakti Padarathamotu Brahma Lokma Naire. It is not possible to cultivate that kind of bhakti even in the sixth heavenly planet known as Brahma Lokma. Brahma Lokma Naire. Punya Kari Amrapuri Pamya. Most persons who fall in the category of punya, who give charity, who give donations, who speak the truth, usually they end up in the third swarga or in the third heavenly planet. And the capital of that swarga is known as Amravati. Just like the capital of United States is Washington, D.C., or the capital of Canada is Ottawa, or the capital of India is New Delhi. So the name is also given. They know the name of the capital of the third Swarga where Lord Indra resides. That Lord Indra, he resides in the third Swarga, where the average lifespan of the persons who live there is about 40,000 years, earthly years. So all those details are given. And there's a lot of enjoyment. Punyakari Amrapuri Pamya. The result is Punyakari Amrapuri Pamya. But those who are yogis and those who are, then they go to higher heavenly planets. Then they go to Bhur, Bhuvasva, Janar, Tapa. They go to Tapa Lok, Maharlok. And those who have done a very, very great intensity and have reached Maharlok, and with further penances, they can attain Brahmalok or Satyalok, the final heavenly planet. But most persons, due to this piety that is being discussed in the Vedas, they will end up in the third Swarga, where they will enjoy life for 40,000 years with different facilities, with lot of Vaibhav, lot of aram, with a lot of comfort. They will enjoy in the third. So the Punyakari Amrapuri Pamya, Ante Chorasi Maire. But after that, at the end, Chorasi Maire, one comes back in the Chorasi Lakh Yoni, or the 8,400,000 species of life. And it is not guaranteed that one can get a human birth. One may have to go through the whole transmigration of this in order to come back to the human platform and come back to the earthly platform. And then if we still end up doing the punya karma and considering that as the highest, then we are cheating ourselves. And Srimad Bhagavatam doesn't cheat like that. Therefore, dharma projita kaitava atra. Here in Srimad Bhagavatam, they do not talk about piety. There's no question about talking about impiety or pap karma. Punya is way beyond, bhakti is way beyond the league of punya. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam rejects this idea, which Srimad Bhagavatam has in the ripened stage of Vyasadeva's realization. He has composed it by the mercy of Naradji. So, dharma projita kaitava atra parmo nirmat saranam satam. Parama means the highest. This is Srimad Bhagavatam can give you the highest amongst all the Vedas. Everything that is in the Veda, highest. And it can give you the highest destination. And it can give you the highest Satyam Param Dhimahi Nandan. And he can give Vrishabhanu Nandini Seva. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, and therefore it is known as Paramaha. Paramaha, and for that, it is also Nirmat Saranam. It is 100% pure in nature, uncontaminated. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Srimad Bhagavatam, a Purāṇa Amalam, Prema pumartha mahan. Srimad-Bhagavata Purāṇa malam prema pumartho mahan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhor mataidam na yatra agraha paraha. It means that among so many Puranas that were composed or compiled or remanifested by Vyasadeva, amongst this, it is Purana Amalam. Mala means spot, Mal means dirt, and Amal means opposite. Uh, not dirty, pure, spotless. So Nirmat Sara, Parama Nirmat Saranam Satam. And Satam means devotees. It is meant for those persons who really would like to relish, who would like to educate themselves, who would like to entertain the only and only purity, and they are not interested in anything else. Therefore, it has been clearly, it is a sort of a notice, it is a sort of a warning before Vyasadeva starts Srimad Bhagavatam, that this is meant. If you are going to be listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, then your goal should be only pure bhakti. It should be spotless. Do not come to Srimad Bhagavatam if you want money, or if you want some material gain, or if you want some fame, if you want some name. That is what this first line means. There are so many deep meanings of this first line, and I will take as much time as possible to explain the fundamentals of this first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, or the second verse rather, Dharma Projita Kaitavatra. So in this Srimad Bhagavatam, all those different ideas of isms, patriotism, of socialism, of all charity, etc., it all takes a back seat. Now, it doesn't mean that one should not do that, okay? But here it means it's a warning. Do not consider that as the highest. So it is like saying that, supposing if you know, in our back in our days, when we had servants working 24 hours, they used to stay in our houses. Especially I remember when I was very, very small, going to my grandmother and grandfather, we had a servant who was there staying in his servant quarters 24/7, and he had a little son too. And then as the servant grew old, his son started growing, and then sometimes I used to hear the conversation between my grandmother and the servant that now my son, he is going to pass SSC in the village, and I think he's now going to get married soon, this, that. So, you know, such conversations sometimes in the afternoon, the servant used to talk to my grandmother. I still remember clearly. So that was their goal, considering in the village, SSC is the greatest and the highest. And with that degree, the son will get easily married because he has completed SSC. So now to consider piety as the highest on the level of PhD, when it is considered more or less on an SSC or a 10th grade level, that is where the fault is. We are not saying that don't do the 10th. Of course, without doing 10th, you cannot reach PhD. Obviously, that is a necessity. Piety is required in order to come to the platform of bhakti also, because it is a foundation. Unless and until one comes to a sattvic platform, it is not very easily that bhakti can be easily understood. But bhakti is independent. Also, one who do not come to a sattvic platform, we have also seen that they have been transformed. Dina hina jatachiro harinama iddarilo. Especially when the harinam is given by a pure devotee, or when a devotee, pure devotee gives darshan, that immediately a darshan e pavitra karo ai tumar gun. Gangara parasho hoile paschate pavan. Darshan e pavitra karo ai tumar. Narottam Das Thakur in his bhajan, ei bar karuna karo Vaishnav Gosai. Patita pavan toma vina keho nai. Oh, please, my dear Vaishnav, Acharya, this time, please have mercy on me. This is how Narottam Das Thakur Acharya is praying in his poem. He's saying, Toma vina, there's no one as merciful. Patita pavana, Toma vina keho nai. There's nobody as merciful as you. A Gangara parasho hoile paschate pavan. By taking bath in the Ganga, one can become purified. Gangare parasho oile paschate pavan darshane pavitra kora ai tomar gun. And by simply giving darshan, a pure devotee's darshan, one can be purified. So there are certain cases where there is ahaituki. Without any reason, one can immediately, one from the tamagun platform can immediately enter pure bhakti. But mostly speaking, those who are pious in nature will take to bhakti very easily. So, but to consider piety as the topmost, that's where the fault is. So similarly, these different dharmas that have been labeled, by patriotism or dharma to the, or the duty to the society, duty to the country, etc., to consider that as the highest, uh, that is a folly. That is a big mistake. And Bhagavatam doesn't deal with that. If you want to grow better in politics or grow better in your family life or your money, then please do not approach Bhagavatam. That is what this line is flashing. Just like when you are entering a very dark tunnel, or when you are entering some, there are some warnings that please put your flashlights on. Do not slow down. Do not stop. All those warnings are given ahead. Or when then you are on a highway and when there's a sharp curve, there is a sign: slow down, sharp curve, go slow. So like this, Srimad Bhagavatam is flashing in the very first line: Dharma projita kaitava atra parmo nirmat saranam satam. Those who are very true, those who have this true desire, those who have this spotless desire, then please approach this Srimad Bhagavatam, because it is bereft of all concepts of dharma that are there in the material world. That is the meaning of the first line of Dharma projita kaitava atra parmo nirmatsaranam satam. Now, one more thing is nirmatsaranam satam is a very important word also. Those persons who are purified, or at least who they have the inclination to be purified, who are 100% pure in heart, who have a pure desire in heart, that I want pure bhakti, I don't want anything material, that itself qualifies one person to enter Srimad Bhagavatam in the proper mood. This is very, very important. Please try to understand that. And Nirmatsara Nam Satam means we have to cultivate, we have different anarthas in us. What are those anarthas? So we have to cultivate, and I will take some time in explaining the 6 anarthas and their subcategories. It's important. Bhakti Vinod Thakurji has also explained that the 6 anarthas, and what does Nirmat Saranam mean? So Nirmat Saranam means, basically the word Nirmatsar means one who is pure-hearted and who is non-envious. And only those who are non-envious are pure-hearted. And there are 6 anarthas that categorize us into this, into a kind of qualifying ourselves in, or at least if the desire is there, then we can probably attain that qualification. So the first anartha is what is known as illusion, Brahma. And within that there are 4 categories. We are all illusion. We are all under the influence of Maya. What is the first illusion? First illusion is that about ourself, our swarupa. We are thinking that we are this body and we are not this soul. So that is our first illusion. Then the second illusion is about Paramatma. There is no Atma, there is no Paramatma, there is no God. Most people are of a atheistic in nature, and those who are even taken to spirituality, they are not so firmly situated. They doubted, Kisne dekha hai? Who has seen this? So that is illusion about the self, illusion about God, or about the Param Brahma, or the Supreme Lord. Then there is illusion about sadhana and sadhya. The illusion that, even after taking to some of the spiritual life, and the devotees, when we come in contact, they say, please chant the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, etc. And please follow the 4 regulative principles. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex. These 4 things you should not do. And the 4 or 5 things we should do is chant the holy name, read books like Srimad Bhagavatam, associate with devotees, go to the different tirthas where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went. What does Bhaktivinoda Thakur says? Gaur amar jai sab sthane korolo brahmana range shai sab sthane heribo ami korolo brahmana range. Wherever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, he traveled, I will follow in his footsteps with some great Rasik devotees wherever I go to the tirthas. So when we go to, so we should spend our vacation time going to tirthas, going to Vrindavan, etc. And when we go to Vrindavan, just don't drink lassi and aloo tikki in the bazaar, and go just shopping in Loi Bazaar like it's no tomorrow. We should actually go with different Rasik devotees. Pranay Bhakata Sanghe. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes very specifically, Pranay Bhakata. When we go to the tirthas, we should go with Rasik devotees who have understood in their hearts the importance of each and every place in Vraj. Wherever we go, we will sit down in that place and hear Hari Katha about that. Just not like a museum where we try to finish in 2 hours everything. No, that is not the bhav. We should not be tourists. I always tell, I've taken many people, big and small little groups, whenever I get an opportunity to do this seva, when I'm in Vrindavan, in Vraj Mandal, then this is the first thing I say, that please offer your obeisances to the dham. Go down flat on your on with your knees and hands and pray to the dham, so that they can the dham, Radharani and the Vaishnavas can give us the vision to understand what the dham is. And most important, we are not tourists here. We are not looking at Taj Mahal, or we are not looking at Qutub Minar, and we are not going to some museum. Let us change that bhav. We are not tourists. Most of the people, when they go there, they have that tourist bhav. And then they get hungry in between and they want to eat this and they want to eat that. They get distracted. They cannot sit. When we go to Radhakund, the glories of Radhakund are so glorious that we can sit there and discuss the glories of Radhakund for 2-3 hours. So we should not be in a rush. Of course, if you have limited time, that's a different story. But even within a limited time, even if you visit 2 or 3 places, do it properly and do it with the right association. That is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, that is what Bhaktivedanta Thakurji is trying to say, which I'm simply repeating. Pranai Bhakata Sanghe. Appreciate the pastimes of each and every, the Mahatmya of each and every location. Because there, even today, those pastimes are happening. It is not that, just that because our consciousness is material, but the Dham is always pure. It is fully transcendental. That is what Bhaktivedanta Thakur says. That even today, those pure Vaishnavas can see, the leelas that are happening there in the Vraj Mandal. So like that, we have to cultivate. And again, the word cultivation comes in this particular verse. Shushrubhis krutubhis tatshanat. It is there in the last line. So that cultivation should be there. We should. I think 1 or 2 devotees that I know are present even here. If you remember, Falgun Prabhu, when we went to the different places, we took our time. And even we have our Dr. Nandpran Prabhu, we took our time. We sat there and we discussed and we chanted. That's also a very important thing. Take the potency of the dham, the place, sit down and chant at least one round very nicely, which we are not able to do sometimes, So all these things are very, very important. So but when somebody says that, Kisne dekha hai, who has seen it? So that is an illusion. So doing this sadhana or sadhya, the goal of sadhana, the goal of pure sadhana is Nanda Nandan and Vrishabhanu Nandini, the service of Radha Krishna. So who has seen it? And what is the guarantee that even if I do all this, I will get that? That is an illusion. So that is known as Brahma. And then the fourth one under the illusion category is that when we actually are considering all these material things as real, that is also an illusion. Then the second anartha is the uproots or the offenses, and the offenses are divided into different categories. One category is known as nam uprad. Now, when we are chanting the holy names, we are committing offenses. Within that also there are 10 categories. Considering blaspheming the devotees who have dedicated their lives in propagating the holy name is first offense of the holy name. Second offense is to consider all the different demigods, Devi Devtas, even Lord Brahma and Shiva to be equal to Krishna. It's a second offense. Third offense is to not follow the instructions of the great acharyas, of the pure devotees, of the Gurudev. That comes in the parampara as it is. We are not talking about some faltu guru that he can tell you, oh, it's okay to drink tea, it is okay to eat tobacco, and you give me some pranami on Guru Purnima and everything will be okay. No. We are talking about pure devotees here. Whenever I say the word Guru, it represents the parampara. It means it is Srila Prabhupada's message, Rupa Goswami's message. And anything besides that, if anybody tells you, then he is Kaitava, he is a cheater. So that is an offense, not to follow their instructions. Offense number 4 is to blaspheme the Vedic literatures. Offense number 5, to consider the like sometimes people, they say that, oh, it is written in the, who has seen the Vedas? That is some nonsense. Look at what modern science is saying. So that is a blasphemy also. That is an aparad, blasphemy. But then number 6 is that considering the holy name to be kalpnik, or it is some kind of an imaginary thing. That is also an offense. And offense number 6 is to give some mundane interpretation, some material interpretation of the holy name or the material interpretations of the Shastras. That is also an offense. Offense number 7, when it comes to the aparadh in chanting the holy names, is to chant the holy names on strength of committing pap, on strength of committing sins. One, of course, the holy name is capable of eradicating millions and billions of lifetimes of sins. But if one chants with the consciousness that I will keep sinning and I will keep chanting, I will keep sinning, and we are forgetting one thing, my dear Prabhus and Matajis, that the holy name is Krishna, and Krishna is not a fool. So if one chants with that inclination or with that propensity, of course, if one can make mistakes, well, we are all sinners, no doubt about them. We are all extreme sinners. But if we are have the proper repentance and the proper consciousness that, I made a mistake, Krishna, please forgive me, then Krishna within the heart understands that bhav, and then, we do not repeat those mistakes again and again and again, and we chant the holy name. Of course, the holy name is Krishna. He will purge us of all our, like he says in the Bhagavad Gita, aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami ma sacha. That's number 7. Number 8, to consider chanting of the Mahamantra equal to the Karmakandi mantra. So there are so many mantras given in the Vedas. Especially there are mantras in the Karmakand that bring us happiness, sukha, that bring us dhana, that etc. All that. And if we equate that on the level of Srimad-Bhagavatam, and Srimad-Bhagavatam is Mahamantra, the first verse. We explained that last time, the 6th darshan. So if we equate the Mahamantra, which is nothing else but the platform to reach pure bhakti, to obtain pure bhakti, and even after obtaining pure bhakti, to stay on that platform, we take the ashray of Nama. And if we consider that to be equal to any other mantras, it is like equating Krishna to the different demigods. It is like equating Krishna to anything, to who is the Satyam Param Dhimahi, to relative truths. He is the absolute truth. Number 9, amongst the Nama Prad, is to preach the glories of the holy names to unfaithful persons. Somebody who is very unfaithful, then you should leave that person alone. Do not disturb. We have seen in the past, when I was in Chicago many years ago, downtown, and in downtown Chicago, there are some Jesuits who used to stand with their speakers and microphone with the Bible, and they would read out the verse where, like, thou shalt believe in Christ. If you don't believe in Christ, thou shalt go to hell. And they would quote some verses like that, and they would yell and scream. And then it was more or less like a disturbance to people. And then people would not even look at them, and somebody would turn around and says, you go to hell. And they would utter a few of the very dirty words, which I cannot mention on this platform, or I would refrain from mentioning. They would use all those words that even the worst of the worst people that use. So basically, who is the reason for telling Jesus Christ to go to hell, or Jesus Christ this and Jesus Christ is that, and you are like that? That person who is kind of fanatically preaching. So we have to be very careful. Even when we are capable of preaching, we have to be selective. And that is why Prabhupada was an expert. When so many different people from all walks of life came, the best preaching was give them some Hari Prasad. Give them a banana or an orange that was offered to Krishna. Yes, please have this. Or some flower that was offered to Krishna. This is for you. That is sufficient in itself to invoke the seed of bhakti in the heart of that person, so that in the next life, they will definitely get the chance to come on a sattvic platform and continue their bhakti. So that is number 9, because sometimes we are the reason when we insist somebody, like even those book distributors, a big warning here. Again, I insist on this, and a lot of people, they say, oh, it's Christmas time and it's marathon and we have to distribute so many books. Arey Baba, just by distributing those books, how many offenses are we committing? Some people, when we force their books in their hand and say, you must take it, and then they just, because, they feel bad, they feel that you are from some Salvation Army type of a guy. We are not Salvation Army people. We are not some cheap, daridra, charitable institution that is begging. No, if we appear to be begging when we are giving books, we are actually giving it for their benefit. But if that person doesn't realize it and is not conducive, don't force it on that person. I'm talking to all those book distributors in ISKCON. Please, because I've seen with my own eyes that they get rid of you, just like sometimes when a beggar is following us and they are asking 5 rupees, 5 rupees, 5 rupees, and then finally you give him Lelo Baba. Just leave me alone. So some people have seen that they give them $10, they take that Bhagavad Gita, and I've seen it right here in Niagara Falls, they throw it in the dumpster, these people. And then they use the dirty words and say, really, man, these fanatics, they should go back where they came from. This is not our movement. Our movement is very glorious. Those people who are foolish who say that, but we are instrumental. We have to be very intelligent. Jai Krishna bhaje shei bodo chatur. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that one who worships Krishna is very, very intelligent. We have to use our intelligence in order to. And also we have to know what we are distributing. If we are distributing books, if somebody asks us what is in book, it is about yoga. What yoga? Nowadays they are distributing Bhagavad Gita in the name of yoga. And then they say Bhakti Yoga. No. There are so many fundamental truths. Back in the days when they distributed the books, that was real book distribution. Nowadays, it is a material competition. If this bhav is not there, that bhav should be there. And do not force it on anybody. Paramatma is there in their heart. If you approach them nicely, and if you approach with the proper attitude, that I am doing this for your favor, not for my favor. Most of the book distributors feel that it is for my favor, that when I go back, it will look good in my temple. It will look good that I distributed 100 Bhagavad Gitas today. I distributed 5 big books of Srimad-Bhagavatam today. So this is not, then you're thinking like this dharma, that the cheating religion, that is for my benefit. A real preacher will think about the benefit of others. That is the real preacher. That how I will benefit that other person. And when that bhav is there in the heart, preaching is successful. Preaching is successful because then that person will become even more dear to Krishna and to Prabhupada and the Acharyas. Otherwise, it's just a corporate, it's a facade. We are taking taking out the suit and tie, and we are wearing dhoti, kurta and tilak. And when we are doing this kind of business, it is a business. It is true, Prabhupada said that my books are like a time bomb, etc. But at least the person should be conducive. Why did Rupa Goswami mention Nam Aparad number 9? Think about it. How many of you all are chanting every day regularly these 10 aparads? You're supposed to do that before chanting the 16 minimum rounds, good rounds that we are doing. And when we chant, we reflect on it. As a matter of fact, I would recommend when you chant your first round, meditate on each and every Nam Aparad and pray to Harinam Prabhu that this will not happen to me. Let me not become a victim of it. So number 9 is also an important thing, especially for preachers. Do not just preach whimsically to people and force it on them. Otherwise we will commit a big offense, because they will commit an offense and we are the cause of that offense. We started the fire. We are the ones who gave them the matchstick and the fuel. So that's where the intelligence lies in. Very important. Otherwise, sometimes, when they came, just chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam. Sometimes you cannot even explain philosophy to them. Leave them alone. It will come. Perhaps their offenses are so. We are not Mahabhagavats like Prabhupada that we can change these people. No, if we can change ourselves, that is good enough. If we can maintain a good status, it is good enough. If we can become Vaishnavas, that is good enough. And in the meantime, we help each other. But don't think that we have become great by distributing numbers. No, this is not our Krishna. This is not Mahaprabhu's movement. Absolutely not. Again and again we have seen when we go to temples, like in Kartik, when I went to the temple, same person approaching me. Okay, first day he came, Prabhuji, it is Gita Jayanti. Can you sponsor 100 Gitas? Okay, Prabhu, no problem. I can sponsor the 100 Gitas. And then next day he catches me again. Third day he catches me again. What is this? This is some kind of a corporate environment where you have some kind of a competition that you need to be the number 1 bookseller. No. Then one day I had to tell him what I'm telling you all here. That this is not the spirit of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is not the spirit of Srila Prabhupada. You don't do that. You will turn away people. I am in the movement for the last 35 years. So I have no issues. Nobody can turn me away. No matter what things can happen. But if a new person comes and if he's staying in your city or close to your temple and visiting your temple every day, let's say he's there for about a month or 1 week if he's visiting, and every day we bother that person is going to say, I don't want to go to ISKCON again. I don't want to go to this temple again. It's all about money. We have to be good well-wishers, and when we are good well-wishers, it will radiate. That person will stand and listen to you. That person will say, no, give me not only one, give me 5. I want to distribute it to my family, to my brothers, to my sisters. That is the bhav that will happen in their hearts. This is very true. Please try to understand. I'm not trying to criticize anybody. I'm trying to bring the bhav here that is there in the Bhagavatam. Dharma projita kaitavatra. Sometimes we think what we are doing, even when we come to devotional life, we are doing that. We are doing the best. No, that is why Nam Aparad number 9 is a big flag. Do not preach the glories of the holy name to unfaithful persons. And number 10, Nam Aparad. In spite of hearing and chanting and participating in devotional life, to maintain material attachment. Spiritual life is the diametric opposite of material attachment. The more we progress, the more material things we are detached from. But if we are still attached to material things or even more attached, then we are not spiritually progressed. Although we may be going to the temple, we may be chanting and doing it. It is like an anchor that we have dropped in the ocean, and then we keep on rowing our boat for hours and hours. We can only go as far as that rope that goes down into the ocean. And we are stagnated. So many persons I see, they're stagnated. For 30 years, I see the same devotees. They have no idea who Mahaprabhu is. They have no idea what our Gaudiya Vaishnava Tattva is. Simply coming to the temple, it is good. It will do them good. 100% guaranteed next life will be human birth. But then for how many years? It is like staying in the same grade, 5th grade and 6th grade. Will our parents approve? If somebody fails, let's say your son or daughter fails once, twice, what will you say? You'll say, what nonsense, you fool. This will be a 3rd attempt, at least pass. Shame on you. Will they be happy? You think our acharyas will be happy simply by staying on the same level? We are hearing the same level of lectures. We are hearing the same thing day in and day out. Where is the progress? How will we receive? Look, the mercy of the spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada, acharyas is like the sunshine. It shines equally upon everyone, on the ocean, on the mountains, on the land, in the valleys. But if some refuse to come out into the sunlight, what can the acharya do? What can the sun do? Somebody is willing to give us a lot, but at least pick up the cloth, the begging cloth, or take a vessel that is sufficient. Why are you just keeping your hand like that? Bring something big so that you can take more. At least have that desire to accept more. These things are required because that is why these aparads and all these anarthas, they have been spelled out. That is the 10th aparad, the Nam aparad. Then there is Bhagavata Purāṇa, committing offense to the Supreme Lord. There is Vaishnava aparad, committing offenses to Vaishnava. There is Jiva aparad, committing offenses and giving pain to other jivas. That is an anartha. Then Asat Krishna, the illusion of chasing illusion, of bhukti mukti kam. Bhukti means enjoyment. Dharma projita, that kind of dharma has been rejected here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, if I do religious things, if I offer so much as a donation to the temple, or if I offer this to the poor people, I will get more. So that is rejected. Bhukti, we are doing that for our own sense enjoyment, that dharma. Mukti, we are doing it for our own liberation. That is not pure bhakti. Srimad Bhagavatam rejects that. No question of mukti. Perhaps you all are hearing this for the first time. Well, this is the warning line. So if somebody wants money or mukti or any of that, please don't attend this Srimad Bhagavatam class, especially in this forum. That is the explanation that our acharyas are giving. Bhukti mukti kami, all material desires. That is asat trishna. Asat means that is false, and trishna means thirst. Just like a deer chasing a mirage in the desert. That is one of the anarthas as well, with the 4 subcategories in it. And then the 4th anartha is Hruday Durbalyam, weakness of the heart. In the weakness of the heart, when we are duplicitous, kutaniti, and that's what the word here is, nirmatsar, when we are envious in nature, kutaniti, nirmatsar, Hriday Durbalyam, weakness of the heart, and hankering after material things. That is a weakness of the heart, Hruday Durbalyam. So we should not be duplicitous. Vaishnavas are very simple. We can examine ourselves. Where do we stand? Are we Vaishnavas? Have we been duplicitous in our life? Sometimes we say this, sometimes we say that. Sometimes when there is something to be said, we do not say it. We keep quiet for fear that my services will be in danger in the temple. I have to say good things to the president or whoever is in charge. That is kutniti. They're all wonderfully defined. Matsarya, envy. We are envious of each other even after coming to spiritual life. Somebody does a little better service than us. Somebody's cooking well. We cannot appreciate that. Somebody is singing well. Somebody is speaking well. You don't know what he's doing in his personal life. We are apt, instead of looking at the beautiful Sharad Purnima moon, the autumn, beautiful full moon, we are looking at the spots because of that envy. That is not going to get us to pure bhakti. It's like an anchor that will be dropped and we can keep rowing the boat. Yes, we will get some benefit because there are some effects of doing anything spiritual. But by leaps and bounds, our progress will be checked. First of all, if we don't know about these pitfalls. So, dharma projita kaitavatra parvo nirmat saranam sata. Those devotees who are pure in heart and they have rejected all other types of fantasies of dharma, this cheating dharmas, they should enter this Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the proper spirit. So thank you very much. I will stop here now. We will continue this verse next time. I don't know how many sessions it will take. As long as the inspiration keeps coming and pouring in, I will try to share the nuances or the meanings as per my ability of this particular wonderful verse. And again, I beg all of you devotees, please pay attention to the core meaning of this verse. Then you will understand Srimad Bhagavatam very easily. It will, because Srimad Bhagavatam is Sri Krishna. Once we have understood the fundamentals in this verse, everything else will fall in place. Very important. The first verses of Srimad Bhagavatam are just really out of this world. Hare Krishna. So anyways, thank you very much again, and then we will meet next Sunday, same time, 5:30 Eastern and 4:30 p.m. Central, and whatever that other time zones devotees are coming from, please calculate your time and please come. Purushottam Mas is still there. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Now I would request Asim Krishna Prabhu. I think today Anup Prabhu is not there. He had to go out on work to make the concluding statement. If you would please, Prabhuji, and then unmute the forum so that if anybody has any questions or any comments or realizations or reflections, we would be very happy to hear that.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
So, Hare Krishna, everyone. So, thank you again, Prabhuji, for this nice lecture. It was really nice. So, some of the points which you had already mentioned, like the dharma, like what is dharma? So, you elaborated on which dharma is basically the constitutional position of an entity eternally, And you provided the analogy of fire, like fire provides heat and light. So that is the eternal guna or dharma of fire. So similarly, the dharma of a soul is Nitya Krishna Das, or which serving Krishna is our eternal dharma of a jiva. And also you mentioned like service and bliss are the eternal dharma of a jiva, and the bliss automatically comes through service. So the main principle of today's verse, dharma projita, kaitava atra paramo niramat saranam satam. So there are so many dharmas that have been created, proclaimed and preached by the Vedas. And you mentioned about how there are so many, like there are pious activities, uh, being truthful due to the country, due to the society. So all these activities lead to piety. So the Bhagavad Purāṇa basically propounds the highest truth. So one should completely reject all these pious activities which are materially motivated, and aspire for the highest truth. So the Parama Dharma, which is the highest truth, is revealed to the person who is pure in heart. So I think that this is one of the main principle of today's lecture.
Very nicely summarized. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Asim Prabhu.
And then you also talked about the six anarthas and the offenses. Yeah, that was really nice to hear. Like I'm sure that I'm committing some of the offenses, so I'll do meditate on some of the offenses that I'm committing. Yeah, so I think this was my understanding for today's lecture.
Thank you, Asim Prabhu. Very nicely summarized. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
We can go to the now. We can unmute and we can hear the other participants.
Yeah, so I think everybody's they can individually unmute their mics one at a time. And if you all want to, please share your reflections, questions, whatever is on your mind related to today's topic, that would be great. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Dandavat Pranams.
Dandavat Pranam to everybody. And I would like to thank you very much for the great class. And I was very happy to hear the summarized by the Asim Prabhu. It was excellent. Brief, whatever you say, he told everything in a brief very nicely. Very well he remembered and told everything in a very nicer way. Really
Yes.
appreciated.
Yes,
Okay, you also told, yeah, no problem. Thank you. You were just telling us durbalta of the heart. But durbalta of the heart, we have everybody like crazy, especially when we live in this material world, Western world, with them surrounding so many commitment, blah, 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 attachment, whatever. How we can remove the durbalta? Durbalta is we are holding like crazy and we don't want to give up. How we can, it's not easy. It's said easy to give up, but not easy to give up. Can you help us to understand that durbalta, to get out from the durbalta?
So how we can remove that? That's a very nice question. And again, I can only speak on based on Guru Sadhu Shastra. It's not that I don't have durbaltas. I also have a lot of durbaltas. But the first thing that we can do is sincerely pray to the Lord. And then the Lord, based on our intensity and based on how truthful we are, He will make the arrangements of the association who can help us do that. And that association can be in the form of actual devotees. It can be in the form of passages in the Shastra. Sometimes we are reading, we open a book, and suddenly we find certain answers that can relate to what we have been looking for. And constant association of good association is very important. Just like what we studied in the first line, dharma projita, even within the spiritual community, the devotee community, we have to be very careful in who we choose as our association. Do we want to be political, and we want to be politically right by saying that, okay, I am agreeing with you, I'm agreeing with you, and etc. Or you want to be on the platform of Satyam Param Dhimahi. So we have to first of all pray that we get such a platform. Like Parikshit Maharaj prays in the introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam, especially that one particular verse I had recollected where he says that Krishna, if I were to be born again, please give me the association of pure devotees. He prays that. So this is what we need to pray. And then again, even within this world where we are, we have to make the best use. So even amongst that, we can always find our associate, even if it is one person or two persons, that like-mindedness should be there and that purity should be there. If that at least in the discussions, we are not very pure. We all know that. We all have mistakes. But especially if that endeavor is there, that platform is there, so that it is like okay. Please, if this makes sense to you or not, Vijay Krishna Prabhu and anybody else who is listening, it is like, Alcoholics Anonymous. You've heard of that group, right? For those who are alcoholics, they are drinking and then they go for that rehabilitation. And when they go for the rehabilitation, they're all sitting in a circle and they're talking about their own deficiencies. And they're talking about some positive things also. Although they are all in a big problem, although they are all in the same boat, their desire is to become alcohol free. So similarly, we all may be in the same boat with Hriday Durbalyam and all other defects and anarthas. But if we can do one thing honestly, is we can make a platform where we are honest about improving ourselves based on Guru Sadhu Shastra, then Krishna will certainly help us. But that desire has to be there. Does
Very
this
good.
make sense?
Yeah, very good. Actually, I also like your example about yes, all alcoholic people get together. They want to improve themselves. But one thing also told me additionally, be honest. Name of the game is a very nice point. A very good word, which can enchant the Krishna with honesty. That's good word.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. That is what dharma projita means. What others think, we don't care. We want to improve our own. Chacha apan pran bacha. Prabhupada used to say this in Bangla. That
What
you
is that?
life. He used to. This is my Bengali barabar Baba. Asim Prabhu, you are smiling. So we have Prem Sarovar also, our Bengali devotee. Chacha apan pran bacha. ঠিক আছে?
ঠিক আছে প্রভুজি, খুব ভালো হয়েছে। ধন্যবাদ, প্রণাম টু এভরি ডিভোটিস অল।
আমি চেষ্টা করি।
নিশ্চয়ই করেন। You are such an elevated soul and so good to be in your association, all the devotees here. And so it means that, uncle, please save your soul first before you want to help others.
Yes. Yeah. So again, I really like to use this example. It just manifested right now about the Alcoholics Anonymous. We are all materialist anonymous. In some degree or another, we have all these different anarthas, illusions, bhakti, mukti, kam, and aparats. Some in a bigger extent, some in a smaller extent, but we are all under Maya. Don't never ever once think. We'd already discussed that in that part of the first verse. Muhyanti yat surya. Even the greatest of the demigods are in Maya. What to talk about us? But at least let's be honest about it. And let's find an honest platform. That is important. And then the rest of it, Krishna will definitely take care.
Haribol.
Haribol, Prabhu.
Just like you, the very nice example about alcoholic person. Just like we all have durbalta, as you say, but still we are under the process. So Srila Prabhupada also give the similar example. Just like a person goes to take the shower. So while in this taking the shower process, we cannot say it's clean or not clean, unless until he comes out from the shower. Then we can say, oh, it's a clean or it's not clean, because you can see swap around there. So we are in the process of cleansifying. So we have to wait until it comes to the end.
Yes, Prabhuji. Very true. Yes, Prabhupada mentioned that we are in the process of cleansing ourselves. But again, cleansing ourselves, we have to find that right platform also.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll never cleanse ourselves.
Yes.
So that is very, very important association. A truthful association, honest association. Very important.
So that's why the Braj Gopi said, Tava kathamrutam tapta jivanam.
Yes. Haribol. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu. Anybody else? please open your hearts, say something that may have that has been inspiring, and that can inspire others. What we heard today. That would be nice if we can discuss something based on today's topic, but anything else is also okay. Nandpran Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Very nice class. I would like to add two points to the discussion.
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
First, regarding the dharma, Prabhupada ji always used to say, dharma tu sakshat bhagvat pranita.
Very nice.
That is the ultimate. The real dharma is to please the Lord.
Yes.
That is the only dharma. If we are not pleasing the Lord, then whatever we may do, it is not going into the category of dharma.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Second is like cleansing process of ourselves from all these materialistic attachment and whatever we may say. This cleansing process should not be like a elephant bath. We should be
yes.
this cleansing process that we are cleaning on one side and again we are again dipping into the same dirt. So this process has to be very carefully done, and we can progress in devotional service.
Yes.
Hare.
Very nice, Prabhuji. Actually, this verse that you mentioned is from the 6th canto, and that is from Prahlad Maharaj's Dharmantu Sakshat Bhagavad Pranitam Navair Vidur Rishayo Na Api Devaha Na Siddha Mukhya Asura Manushyaha Kuto Na Vidyadhara Charanadhya. So basically here it says that the real religious principles are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although fully situated in the mode of goodness. Even the great rishis who occupy the topmost planets, we discussed that some of them who are in a very, very pious mode, they even go beyond Indralok into the different lokas like the Siddha lokas and the different top higher heavenly planets. Even those great rishis who occupies those topmost planets cannot ascertain the religious principles. They cannot understand them if they are going to remain on that pious platform. Nor can the demigods, nor the Devi Devatas, or the leaders of the Siddha Loka, the Charan Lok, Siddha Lokas. These are all different delineations in the heavenly planets. So what to say about the Asuras? What to say about the demoniac person or ordinary human beings like the Vidyadhars and Charanas? So this is a nice verse that you have recollected, Prabhuji. So it kind of blends into what we were speaking today, that Dharmantu Sakshat Bhagavad Pranitam. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much for sharing your reflections. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Dr. Nandapran Prabhu said our dharma is to please the Supreme Lord. That means whatever we do, we have to do it righteously, even to the non-devotees. How, like that's the only one, or like beside the devotional service, we have to do devotional service, and to please means to do the right thing with every living entity, right?
Basically, what it means is at the end of the day, whatever activities we do, it has to please Krishna. Krishna, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam Tad Bhakti Ruttam. We have to Anya Bilashita Shunya Jnana Karma Navritam Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam Tad Bhakti Ruttam. We should not be aspiring for any material activities that are karmakan or gyankan. It should be shunya. But what pleases Krishna? Anukulyena. Anukul means what is conducive to Krishna. What pleases Krishna? Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. One should perform those activities. Now, if that means that one has to even reject, of course, in the material world, we will come across people who we may have to reject, and we have to choose the right things that help in our bhakti. So that is Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam, although we are rejecting those. But generally speaking, one should try to avoid hurting anybody. But if anybody is an impediment in your bhakti, then one can definitely reject those persons, and you need to move on with your goal of life. So I don't know if I understood your question properly, or have I answered your question? If
Yes,
not,
it did. Thank you so much. Yes.
yes, Mataji.
And I also I have one more question, Prabhu. This is from not today's class, like last week. Like when the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it comes from the spiritual world, from Goloka Vrindavan, and also usually all the gopis surrounded by Radha and Krishna. It's like more than 2 billion gopis. They sing this when Radha and Krishna, they are dancing in the middle. They sing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Is that right, Prabhu? Ji?
Mataji, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, yes, indeed, Golokera Prema Dhana, Harinama Sankirtana. So it is definitely the sound vibration that comes from Golok Vrindavan. There's no doubt about that. And basically, what it means is we are constantly, whether here or there, whether in the perfected state or the non-perfected state, or those who are in the non-perfected state, they're asking for perfection, they're asking for the service. And those who have already attained the service are basically asking for more service, and they're asking for more of, for the pleasure of Radha and Krishna, wherever they are, even if they're in Golok Vrindavan, to engage them in their service, and remembrance of Radha and Krishna, remembrance of all the internal potencies of Radha and Krishna. That's what it means. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a representation of Krishna, Radharani, and all the intimate associates of Krishna. That's what it is. So it's less
Okay.
when somebody, okay, let me give you another simple example, and I hope that kind of clarifies. Supposing if one person who is sad and lamenting, let's say because that person is missing, let's say it is the son has gone to a foreign place for job or whatever, and the father and mother are simply alone at home, and they're day and night, they're constantly talking about their son, and what they're talking is basically sometimes just saying the name of the son. That's all they're saying. They're not even discussing anything else except the talking the name. Just the name and the consciousness in which they're taking the name is sufficient in itself to reveal what they feel. Similarly, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra itself is the names of Radha, Krishna, and all his intimate associates. Just by taking those names, the consciousness flourishes depending on the Leela, depending on what that person is meditating on. One can be meditating on feeding Krishna, one can be meditating on massaging Krishna, one can be meditating on different services towards Radha and Krishna, but they can simply chant Hare Krishna, and those services are their consciousness. So I don't know if I've understood your question properly, but this is what I'm trying to say, that yes, even in Golok Vrindavan, if they are chanting Hare Krishna is from Golok. Golokera, Narottam Das Thakur has clearly said that Golokera Prema Dhana. It is the Prem Dhana, the love, the pure, and that love can be in all the different mellows, and especially for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, that love is expressed in the Madhurya Rasa, in the conjugal Rasa. So that love comes from Golok Vrindavan. Because naturally, when we are talking about Hare, Hare means not only Radharani, but all the intimate associates of Radharani. That means all the gopis, the manjaris. So obviously, where are they? They are in Golok. So obviously, the word Hara means it represents Golok Vrindavan and all those associates of Radhaji and Krishna, etc. So yes, indeed, the Mahamantra is Krishna, Mahamantra is Radharani, Mahamantra is Vrajvasis, Mahamantra is Golok Vrindavan, Mahamantra is consciousness, Mahamantra is Seva, Mahamantra is everything. Mahamantra is Satyam Param Dhimai. Were you there in the last week's lecture when I explained the last line?
Yes, I think I was on YouTube, or I'm not sure. Yeah, on the phone. Yes, I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mahamantra is.
I understood, Prabhu, what you were saying. My question was same thing like what you were saying. Like, so is it okay when we are chanting to think of different pastimes about thing, or just we concentrate on the syllables?
Yes, absolutely. That's what mature devotees do. That's what we aspire after, because that will not only keep our minds in control, but it will ever purify us, and it will engage us sitting wherever we are in the service of Krishna. Absolutely, that is the proper way of chanting the Mahamantra.
You mean thinking of pastimes and everything?
110%.
Okay,
That's what our
thanks.
acharyas did when they chanted the Mahamantra.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Mata.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranam. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hari Bol. Yes, Falgun Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, Mataji. Yes, Prabhu. It's a wonderful lecture. Yeah, and somehow whatever you say about the anarthas, so I'm thinking for myself that I personally have lots of anarthas and I'm trying to progress myself. And whatever you just talked to the Mataji, so I have a question. Like I have read somewhere that even if you don't have a knowledge of scripture and the process, and but at least, like, let's say if you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra by heart, then there are three stage of devotees, as you probably mentioned in your previous lectures, that the Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttam Adhikari.
Mm-hmm.
So even as a, like, let's say at least you chant the Mahamantra with heart, you are considered as a madhyam devotee, right? There is a one Kanishta and one Uttam. So do we need to, like, as by knowledge, as you mentioned that we have lots of anartha, and if we don't progress, so what is the definition of progress, like in what sense, like in the devotion kind of thing, or association of devotee, or because I see a lot personally in me, like I'm seeing lots of anarthas, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, so your question is basically saying that, yeah, we all have anarthas, and how do we know, right? Is that your question? That whether one is progressing or not progressing, correct? Or can you rephrase the question? Yes, Falgun Prabhu.
Just like the as I mentioned, right? What is sorry?
Sorry, can you repeat your question, please?
Probably somehow, yeah, like it's like as I mentioned that I'm particular. I'm seeing, like, let's say whatever I self, I don't see much more progress, right? Uh, if I see like 7-8 years ago, then I can see, okay, I'm currently but in recent time, the way I was a year ago, it's not a much difference. So but I'm doing my rounds.
So what is your question, Prabhuji? I understand you made a statement. Haribol, what is your actual question, Prabhu? I understand you made a statement.
So is that like a particular in your half an hour you say about, like, the person who has a anarthas, right? Then it's like a negative side that he has to progress. So the definition of progress, like how can we see that we are progressing? That's a question.
Okay. Thank you again for repeating it. So the progress, the question was what we see, which is diametrically opposite to our Nam Aparad number 10. The answer is there. What is that Nam Aparad number 10? Nam Aparad number 10 is that in spite of chanting for years and associating, if we do not get materially detached, we still get attracted to material things. It should be like the more we advance, let's say if this hand represents advancement upwards, and this hand represents materialism. So when we are actually
Opposite.
advancing, then this should
Okay.
go lower, opposite scales. So when it is stagnant and nothing is happening, then we can understand that we are not advancing. Or as a matter of fact, if material things are higher, then we are degrading in our spiritual life. So it is diametrically opposite. We can measure within our own lives whether we are progressing or not is by how much we are still attracted. Are we attracted more to material things? Are we the same, or are we less attracted? If we are less attracted to materialism, then we are advancing. If we are the same, then we are stagnant. And if we have increased our material desires or material propensities, then obviously it is diametrically opposite. Then our spiritual progress is dwindling. It is weaning. It is going downwards, and the material attraction is going upwards. So this is a good parameter for oneself to check it. And the best way to, again and again, it's like association, association, association. Good sadhu sang. That will help us. And constantly when we hear good Hari Katha, when we chant nicely, because through hearing we get so many instructions on how to pray, how to chant, what should be our desires that should be there in our hearts. And all these things will change our consciousness over a period of time. So that is the best solution that the Guru, Sadhu and Shastras recommend. It is through the proper association, through proper Hari Katha, then everything falls in place. Listening, associating. And association means also associating with Prabhupada books, because then you're associating directly with Srila Prabhupada. Does this make sense to you, Prabhuji?
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Perfect.
And
Yeah.
it's good to recognize
That's why,
that I'm not
yeah,
progressing.
day by
If we
day.
think that if we think we are progressing and we are feeling proud of it, then there is a problem. But sometimes recognizing the truth and taking the proper steps and being humble will really lead to real
Yes,
not kaitava. Careful also for people who we are associated. You're so nice, you are this, that, and we give pat ourselves on the back. Internally, we know who we are. At least we are sane enough. We are not in a coma. We are not intoxicated that way, like alcoholics or drug addicts, that we don't know. If we are honest, the main thing is being honest. Be honest to yourself, and Krishna will help. Again, association. Through association, we will learn so many things. How to pray, how to desire. Right now, most of us don't even know how to properly desire. Whether we deserve or not, it's a different story, but at least learn how to desire. Then
no,
Krishna
Prabhu. Yeah. Thank you very much. That's
So it will come, Prabhuji. And remember one thing.
Yeah.
We are in
Good
this
answer, Prabhu. Yeah.
glorious
Thank you very much.
shelter of Srila Prabhupada. We may have a million mistakes that we may make, but if we are sincere, everything will go away slowly. All the anarthas will disappear. They will. Krishna has promised, Yogakshemam Mahamiham. Whatever you don't have, I will give you. Whatever you lack, whatever you have, I will preserve. Whatever you lack, I will give. But at least we have to have that desire, Prabhuji. Honesty.
Okay.
Yeah. If we are honest to ourselves, Krishna within the heart has recognized it. He will do the needful. 110%, 1000%. Of course, patience has to be there. Dhairya.
Hare Krishna.
Be patient also. And consistent. This slok will come in the Bhagavatam very soon. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radoksaje ahitukiya pratiyata jena atma suprasidati. So our desires and everything and our goals should be ahituki, without any material motivation, and apratiyata. It should be uninterrupted. Today things are bad, we come more to satsang, we go more to the temple. Tomorrow things are okay, then we stop. No, that is not. It has to be uninterrupted. So these things we have to be careful. And when we hear, we will learn these things. Hare Krishna. Thank you. That was
Thank
a
you,
nice
Prabhu.
question.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Anybody else? So we will continue next week then. Thank you very much for being a part of the Bhaktivedanta Bhagavat group. And all glories to all the Vaishnavas, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Purushottam Mas ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Hari, yes, I think Mata, you want to say something? I see your hand go up.
So just Hari Bol, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji or Mataji, I think I saw the hand. Yeah, one second.
Nothing,
Sujay Prabhu,
Prabhu.
hold on 1 second.
Prabhu, Hare
Yes,
Krishna. Yeah, nothing. I just
yes,
appreciate
go ahead.
with that chat. It was a clapping icon emoji, Prabhuji. I was just enjoying, so I clapped in the end.
Glories to Prabhupada. Haribol. That clap was Srila Prabhupada. Haribol. Thank you. Hare Krishna.